Have you ever been tempted to skip a step when you thought nobody was looking? That little voice that whispers, "It's good enough," especially when the task is difficult, dirty, or just plain boring. It's a universally relatable struggle. We all chase recognition, but what truly defines us? What is the secret ingredient shared by people who don't just achieve success, but sustain it for decades? It's the habit of doing the right thing, meticulously, fundamentally, even when the spotlight is miles away and the only witness is your own shadow. While we listen to the story, we will also learn some new words about true character and lasting success. Ethan was 19 years old. It was the scorching middle of July in the heart of the Midwest. He needed money. Specifically, he needed $3,000 for his sophomore year tuition at the state university. He landed a job at a place called the Midway Stop. It was less a diner and more a cornerstone of history, sitting right off old Route 67. The building itself looked like it had been poured from concrete and nostalgia 60 years ago, and Mr. Silas, the owner, matched it perfectly. He was quiet, thin, and moved with a careful grace that suggested he respected the floorboards he walked on. Ethan's job was simple: gas attendant, counter help, and general cleanup. The pay was honest, $10 an hour plus tips, but the heat wave was brutal, and the work was endless. One Tuesday, Mr. Silas called Ethan into the cramped back office. "Ethan," he said, pushing a heavy brass key across the desk, "I need the cellar cleaned. Not just swept, cleaned. It hasn't been touched since 1983. It's got 3 decades of dust and disrepair down there." The cellar was a pit. It was 10 feet below ground level. The air was thick and tasted like rust and forgotten things. The light fixture was a single dim bulb hanging precariously on a tangle of old wire. The job wasn't just cleaning, it was archaeology. Ethan spent the first 2 hours just getting cobwebs off the ceiling and clearing a path through abandoned boxes of paper napkins and broken 5-gallon pickle jars. The grime was layered on everything. It clung to the shelves, the concrete floor, and the exposed ancient plumbing. He calculated the labor. If he did the job properly, truly scraping and scrubbing every single section, it would take him at least 2 full days. 16 hours of misery. But then he saw it. Behind the massive, rusting hot water boiler, there was a cavity, maybe 6 feet wide and 4 feet deep. It was piled high with dry debris, old insulation, and rat poison containers. No one could see it. No one ever checked behind the boiler. Not ever. Ethan's internal conflict began. He could sweep the main floor, clear the front shelves, make everything look decent and organized. That would take maybe 6 hours. He could tell Mr. Silas he finished the entire cellar cleanup and pocket the extra 10 hours of pay for 4 hours of light work. 10 hours, $100, $100 closer to tuition. Who would know? The boiler was fixed to the wall. The debris was out of sight. It was functional integrity, not total integrity. He took a deep breath, clutching his worn broom handle. He was about to begin piling the rest of the refuse into the hidden cavity when a faint scraping sound echoed from the cellar stairs. Mr. Silas stood there, framed by the dusty light, slowly descending the steps. He wasn't carrying a clipboard or wearing an angry expression. He just stood there, observing the sheer, abysmal nature of the subterranean space. Ethan's heart hammered against his ribs. Had Mr. Silas seen him eyeing the boiler? Did he already suspect the temptation? "Mighty mess, isn't it, Ethan?" Mr. Silas asked, his voice low and calm. He walked past Ethan, not looking at the partially cleaned area, but walking straight to the back wall of the cellar. He didn't ask about the job. He didn't inspect the work. He simply ran a slow, wrinkled hand over the damp foundational stones that held up the entire establishment. "See these stones, son?" Mr. Silas said. "These were laid by my grandfather in 1952. The visible part of the diner, the neon sign, the clean counter, the perfect coffee. That's what people pay for. That's the product. He paused, his eyes fixed on the moss growing between two enormous foundation blocks. But the visible part of the business relies entirely on this. This foundation, the cement mixture, the depth of the footing, the perfect laying of this mortar right here. Nobody who eats pie upstairs ever sees this wall. They don't care about this mortar. Ethan waited, silent. The metaphor was sinking in, heavy and real. If my grandfather had cut corners, Mr. Silas continued, if he had used cheap mortar on the backside where the dirt covered it, or if he'd piled debris behind the furnace to save himself an hour of labor, do you think this diner would still be standing 60 years later, resisting floods and harsh winters? Mr. Silas finally turned to Ethan, his eyes kind but piercing. The foundational work, Ethan. That's where the true integrity lives. It's the work you do when nobody is there to clap, nobody is there to criticize, and nobody is there to reward you immediately. The temptation to hide the mess, to cheat the system, isn't cheating me out of $100. It's cheating the foundation of your future self. He wasn't talking about cleaning a cellar anymore. He was talking about building a life. A successful person knows that shortcuts in the unseen areas inevitably lead to cracks in the visible structure. That hidden pile of filth behind the boiler, that's not just trash. That's a breeding ground for problems that will one day crawl out and affect the entire business. Mold, pests, fire risks. It doesn't matter that it's hidden now. Mr. Silas placed the brass key back in Ethan's hand. Do the work, Ethan. Not for me. Not for the $10 an hour. Do it for the foundation you are building for yourself. And then, as silently as he had appeared, he ascended the stairs. That conversation changed everything. Ethan put down the broom and picked up a heavy-duty scraper. He spent the next day and a half scrubbing the entire cellar. He moved the boiler, a monumental task, and scraped every particle of debris from the hidden cavity. He found a dangerously frayed electrical cord and reported it immediately. He organized the heavy, metal shelves and even took the time to paint a clear white line designating a safety zone around the water heater. He spent 19 hours on a job he initially planned to rush through in 6. When he finally emerged, exhausted but strangely energized, Mr. Silas was waiting. He didn't even go downstairs to check. 19 hours, Mr. Silas noted, looking at Ethan's timesheet. You found something challenging? I found the hidden cavity behind the boiler, sir, Ethan admitted. And I realized that if I was going to do the job, I had to do the whole job. I fixed that loose shelving too. Mr. Silas nodded slowly. He didn't offer a compliment about the cleaning. He offered something far more valuable. Ethan, you see a problem through to its root, not just its surface. That means you can be trusted with responsibility. Next month, I'm putting in a new point-of-sale system, a huge technical upgrade. I need someone honest, meticulous, and reliable to manage the inventory transfer. It pays $15 an hour, and it requires access to all the secure ledgers. You start Monday. Ethan had earned an unexpected promotion, a huge jump in pay, not because Mr. Silas had seen the spotless floor, but because he knew Ethan had chosen the hard path when he had every opportunity to choose the easy one. The integrity displayed in the unseen cellar directly led to the visible reward. This story is about the concept of invisible integrity. True success is never built on temporary, performative efforts. It is built brick by brick, deep in the cellar of our daily lives, where no one keeps score but ourselves. How we handle the small, dull tasks, the paperwork that won't be reviewed, the promises that won't be tracked, the hidden cleaning that won't be celebrated. These actions define our capacity for handling major opportunities. When you commit to doing the right thing, even when it's uncomfortable, you are not doing it for external reward. You are doing it to strengthen your internal foundation. You are proving to yourself that your standard of excellence is fixed, not conditional. Character, unlike reputation, is what you are in the dark. The foundation of lasting achievement is built with bricks laid when the spotlight is off. So ask yourself today, what hidden corner of your life, your work, or your habits are you neglecting? What debris are you sweeping behind the boiler? Go back and clean it thoroughly, because the hidden work you do today determines the strength of the structure you will live in tomorrow. I'll be back again with another inspiring story. Till then, be patient, be thankful, and keep moving forward in life.